All right. When
I got here yesterday.
did you get here? Yesterday?
I transferred from Abbeville.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well,
Apparently my husband was over there. I didn't know.
apparently.
Yeah.
You didn't know?
No.
Well, fuck, did you know you was married to him?
I forgot. It's been like 10 years.
Huh?
It's been like 10 years since I've seen him.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And what have you been using?
Heroin.
Right. And you got here when?
2 days ago.
Okay. When did I have you last?
About 9 months ago at Ethel.
Nothing.
Hmm.
That was the first time?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, what happened?
I stayed sober 6 months and then I just stopped doing what the fuck I was doing to stay sober.
What?
I don't know. I got into a relationship.
I've been in one for 20 years. I didn't go get loaded.
Yeah, I made that my higher power.
Well, let me ask you this. When you were doing what we said, going to meetings, right?
Yep.
Working with a sponsor.
Yep.
And doing some step work.
Yeah.
How'd shit go?
Great.
Ain't that crazy?
Yeah, it was going great.
And when you stop doing those things, how'd shit start to go?
Fell off like in no time.
Yeah. But I told you that.
Yeah.
I told you that was what's gonna happen. Didn't I?
Yep.
So let me ask you something. Did I tell you what would happen if you actually went to meetings, got a sponsor, and did the steps?
Yes.
I told you some real good shit would happen, huh?
Yeah.
Did it?
Oh yeah.
Okay. And I also told you if you didn't do it, some disastrous things were gonna happen. Did they?
Oh yeah.
Ain't that some shit?
Some shit.
So if you do what we say, it works. And if you don't, you get what we say.
Yeah.
Yeah. First name. When did you get here?
2 days ago.
Okay, you've been in bed. I don't want to get up. I bet if they would have went, look at this baggie. Yaz would have had all kinds of energy on it, popped on up. Where are you from?
Gonzalez.
What have you been using?
Heroin.
Okay. You ever been to treatment? Where?
Ethel.
Yeah, I thought so. You better quit doing dope. When did you go through Ethel?
February last year.
So about a year ago. And when you got out, what did you do?
I worked with a sponsor, worked with subs.
And how'd shit go?
Good. For 9 months. Then I stopped.
What's wrong with your head?
Oh, it's just like.
Oh, I thought you had a crick in your neck or something.
I did yesterday.
Huh? So, same questions I asked her. When you did what we said, how did shit go?
Good.
Oh, great. Where were you staying at?
Home.
Okay. And when you quit doing those things that we suggested you do, and you started doing your program again, how'd it go?
Shitty.
Because look, I know you're using. Never the same as last time. See, you don't even really get high anymore. See, it tells you in that book, it ceases to be a luxury and it's a necessity. That's when the fun stops. All right, yesterday we were talking on a few things. Oh, and your first name?
Katie.
Katie. Where are you from, Katie?
Gonzalez.
How old are you? About 9?
31.
Oh, okay. You're 9. What have you been using, Katie?
Heroin.
How?
IV.
IV? Where did you go to medical school?
I didn't.
Why Why are you giving yourself shots then, girl? Huh?
Well, I thought I could be a nurse, I guess.
Please, if something medically happens to me, don't treat me. Please. Now, yesterday we talked on a couple of things. Let's see who was listening, okay? If you wanted to solve a problem, there's three things you gotta know. Just yes or no, do you know what they are? Okay, were you in here yesterday? I know. And how long have you been here? Yeah. Do you know what they are? No, I just said, do you know what they?
I think at least two of them.
Well, I didn't ask you two, I said three.
Okay, now,
Okay. Do you? What?
problems, the steps, the solution.
No. Do you?
No.
Let me ask y'all something. The ones of y'all that have been here, what are y'all listening to when y'all come in here? Y'all looking at me. You hear me, but are you actually listening? To see, when you hear shit, it goes in this ear and goes right out of that ear. When you actually listen, it goes in this ear, it gets trapped up here, and it doesn't leave. Do you know?
Problem, plan of action, and solution
Okay. Now, how long have you been here?
since last Thursday.
That's what I said.
No, you didn't. No, that's not what you said. You said problem, steps, solution. Now, there's three, put your pens down. Put your pens down. You can't listen and write at the same time. And if you listen, guess what you don't have to do? Write it down. Now, you gotta know the problem. You have to know the solution to the problem. And then you gotta have a planned program of action that you can take that will get you out of the problem into solution. Now, yesterday, that would be yesterday, we talked on some things. Now, step one, it's a problem statement. And in step one, they explain the problem when it comes to my using. Now, who can tell me what the problem is?
Mental obsession.
Okay, part of it centers in the mind. That's the obsession part, okay? What's the other part? Okay, so
Putting the first one in.
so the physical part is the allergy. Now, there's a real easy way you can determine if your pen down. If you want to write this down, we finish, it'll be up here. Okay, I want you to listen. Look, I know you want to write it down, okay? Listen to me. Listen to me. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. I know you want to write it down, okay? And you can, just not right now, okay?
I put the pencil on.
Okay, but not the first time.
Yeah, I did.
Where'd you pick it back up?
Yeah, 'cause I wanted
Now,
to-
I know you do, and I want you to look at me, look at me, look at me. How many of y'all in here, okay? You look straight at me and you hear everything I say, But if I ask you some basic stuff right back, you go, what? Huh? You gotta listen. Now, the physical allergy, there's a real easy way to determine if you got it or not. Every time you dump the first one in, this allergy gets set off and it produces a craving. That's how you tell if you got the damn allergy or you don't. Now, when you went back out, was the allergy the same, better, or worse?
Worse.
When you went back out, were the cravings worse? So were these worse?
Yeah.
Whose group are you in? Hey, pick, whose group are you in? Who's your counselor? Who? Who's the house mom? Go get her. Okay, back up here. Back up here. Yoo-hoo! Back up here.
I'm there.
Why are you watching her walk? Now, the physical part of this, it never ever goes.
Away.
It actually gets
Worse.
when you pick back up. Was that worse?
Yeah.
Was that worse?
Yeah.
Was that worse?
Yeah.
Now, the physical part of this never goes away. Katie, what's your favorite thing? You were using, if I put everything on a table, I said, Katie, pick your favorite one. What would you pick?
Bag of dope,
What kind of dope?
heroin.
Hey, do me a favor. Take her and see what you can talk to her a minute.
Okay.
Go ahead and go with her. She seems to have lost interest this morning.
Okay.
And I guess it's my fault. Now, your favorite thing, what would it be?
Bag of heroin.
Okay. And how would you do it? IV?
Yeah.
Okay. If you had 10 rigs ready to go, could you shoot one today, put 9 of them in the refrigerator and come back next month and do a second?
No.
What would happen if you shot the first one?
I would shoot the rest of the
Would you
time.
set that off? Would your body physically crave another one? And the end result you would end up on? Now, how many times have you come up off a spree and sang the alcoholic national anthem? I'll never do that shit again.
Here we go.
Every time. And every time you do it again. Now, when you come up off the spree and you stay sober a day or 2 or 3, right? Maybe.
That don't happen.
I said maybe. But every time that you come off the spree, you say,
I'm not gonna do it again.
and sometimes the same hour, you do it again. Now, how many of y'all, this thing keeps getting you every time? What's the longest you ever stayed sober in your little using
2
career?
years, 10 months.
Okay, and you pick back up?
Yes, sir.
Why?
That's my choice, but my father passed away, but I mean, yeah, the mental obsession.
You know, you said your father passed away. You know, in about a 2-year span, I lost a brother, a sister, a nephew, and a mother. And guess what? Never kicked in. So how many of y'all in here? This thing gets you every single time. Now, if we can do something about this and get rid of this actually becomes a moot point. Because if you never put the first one in, you'll never set this off. Now, the steps where they do all their work is in the mind, not the body. Now, if you really understand that problem, see, what would occur to you is, I need some damn help. and you would hang on every word we said. Because let me ask you this. When you were using, what were you using, your favorite thing? I said favorite thing, not things. Well, let me put it to you this way. If I said, hey girl, this table is full of every drug known to mankind, and alcohol is a drug. You can go to that table, but you can only pick one thing. You can get as much as you can hold. What would you pick? Say, how'd I know you'd get it like that? Now, if I told you about 4 months ago, hey girl, I'm fixing to tell you where a shitload of heroin is, but you can't write it down. You just got to listen to the direction. Would you listen to every word I said? And be able to repeat it back like that, huh? Why? No, because that's what you wanted.
Oh.
But how many of y'all come in here and we're gonna give you some directions to save and change your life, and we give them to you, and 5 minutes later we ask you, well, what we just say? I did it. Yeah. You got to listen. Now, the problem. Everything you do or don't do in this program is going to hinge on how well you understand this. Because if I can lay the foundation of this program, and this is the foundation, understanding this, once I understand this completely, what becomes very appealing to me is this. Now, without an understanding of the problem, the solution to you is going to sound like, I ain't interested in it. And you'll sit through here and go through the motion, and you'll do what we tell you to do. But when it comes to actually putting pieces of this shit together, you still won't have a clue. Now, the solution, it's only as good as your understanding of problem. Let me ask y'all this. How many of y'all have ever caught a cold? When you first start catching a cold, do your eyes get a little itchy? And you go, I just got something in my eye. Does your throat ever start to get scratchy? And you go, I just got something in my throat. Now, where are you going?
To the bathroom.
All right, hurry up. Now, back up here. Now, a day or two or three goes by and you finally say, you know, I think I'm catching a cold. Right when you say that, guess what you can start taking? Medicine. See, how many of y'all been having a cold for a long time, but you keep saying shit like, I think I just got something in my eye. You can't take the medicine until you see you got the damn cold. Now, once I see that I got it, guess what I'm real eager to take? The medicine. Now, part of this centers here. Now, who knows how many AAs there are? Do you know how many AAs there are? No, look. Do you know how many AAs there are? Huh? She says one. What do you say?
Well, it depends if you mean meetings. Yeah, if we mean meetings or
I mean AAs.
a meeting.
No, AAs.
There's only
Okay, how many? One.
one, unless you count the.
Look, there are two AAs. There is the fellowship in AA, and then there's the program of AA. Now, the fellowship in AA that's going to meetings. The program of AA is in the book, and it's in the first 103 pages of the big book. Now, I want you to think about this. Every time that you come up with a solution, when this sort of gets unbearable for you, and you say, I need some relief, I'm tired. How many of y'all, you come up with a solution, and every time you do, it centers around a human being? Either you try to quit altogether on your own, a human being, sit up, sit up. You'll fall asleep like that. No, go ahead and sit up. There you go. It's good for your posture. How many of y'all, every time you come up with a solution, it centers around a human being? Either yourself, you try to get in a relationship with a human being, out of a relationship with a human being, move away from human beings, move closer to human beings. But how many of y'all, every time you have a solution, it centers around another human being? Now, I'm telling you, this problem, human beings can't touch it. So, if all you do is go to meetings, the meetings are made up of human beings. Now, I want you to look to the left and the right of you. How many of y'all see powers greater than you in here? Do you see any powers less than you? Do you see a bunch of powers equal to you? Yeah. Well, watch this shit. It says power greater than, not equal to or less than. So if you go to meetings and that's all you do, you are with some powers equal to you, and that won't work. Now, how many of y'all have made this mistake? You go to meetings thinking you're actually doing something. And the whole time you go into the meetings, this thing's working on you. And it finally gets through, which it will, because you're with a bunch of humans. You reach over and you dump the first one in. And when you do, you set all that in motion. When you come up for air, this is what you say. That AA shit don't work. Now, did you ever do the AA shit? The program. You just went to. How many of y'all know what the PTA is? That's the Parent Teacher Association. When I was a little boy coming up, that's where I did not want my mama going. Because they would have told her what kind of little bad person I was. Now, if you just went to PTA meetings, would that make you a parent? No. What would you have to do to become a parent? Huh?
Action.
Yeah, it takes the damn action. See, look, anybody in the world, any jackass in the world can join the fellowship. The Fellowship of Alcoholics Anonymous is one of the most mixed up, screwed up ass group of people in the world. Because anybody can join it. But to be a part of recovery, you have to recover. Now, how do I recover? By sitting in the meetings or taking the steps. So right now, are you part of this? Okay, you've been to some meetings, haven't you? Now, are you part of recovery yet? Because you haven't taken and you haven't recovered, right? Now, if you stay involved here and start doing this, can you be recovered? Then you would be a part of, yeah. See, how many of y'all go to a bunch of meetings and you think you're part of recovery? Let me ask y'all this. How many of y'all think everybody who's in an AA meeting is alcoholic? Do you?
Well, yeah, because everything breaks down.
I'd hate to go to battle with you.
Hey, everything.
Hey,
breaks
which way do we go?
Well,
I do suffer with great emotional mental disorder.
I know, me too. So we definitely got something in common. Now, the question again is, do you think everybody in an AA meeting, you back? All right. Sit on down, girl. How many of y'all, when somebody's in a meeting and they go, my name's Jackass, I'm an alcoholic. How many of y'all assume because they said they're alcoholic that they alcoholic? Everybody does that, unless you sort of know some things. Now, let's say Fred. Let's say Fred went to a Super Bowl party. And Fred hadn't drank in 10 years. He drinks 2 damn beers at a Super Bowl party. And he starts driving home, he gets pulled over for running a red light. And the police officer smells beer on his breath. What the hell you think he's gonna get?
DWI.
DWI. The judge is gonna say, hey, look, man, go to 90 meetings in 90 days. You do that shit, we're gonna dismiss this. What the hell you think Fred's gonna do? He's gonna go to 90 meetings in 90 days. Now, does Fred have to do the steps to stay sober? No, because he don't have this, nor does he have that. So he just goes to, now, in the meetings, he likes what he hears. And he's around some people that he likes what they say, and he likes the fellowship, the camaraderie. So guess what he does? He keeps coming back to the meetings, but he knows nothing about the steps. Now, let's say little Johnny. Little Johnny, friend, leaves a half of a roach in his ashtray. And his mama finds it. She says, if you don't go to some of them AA meetings, I'm gonna take your car away. What you think little Johnny's gonna do? Go to meetings. Now, little Johnny don't have that or that. But he starts going to the meeting and he meets some other little people in the meetings. And he likes the camaraderie and the fellowship. So guess what little Johnny does? He's coming back to. Now, you take the real McCoy. I got this and this. And I go to these meetings because I'm told if I don't, they're going to put me in jail. So I go to the meetings and I know nothing about this. And I listen to Fred sharing a meeting. And he sounds good. Of course, he don't know what the fuck he's talking about, but he sounds good. Now, I know I'm supposed to get something called a sponsor because that's what my probation officer told me I got to get. So I go up to Johnny. I go, hey, Fred. I say, hey, man, would you sponsor me? And he goes, fuck, I'd love to. Probably the first time anybody's ever asked me. And I go, okay, well, what do I do? And he goes, just keep coming back. Because that's what he did. Now, I keep going back to the meeting. I'm listening to him and I think I'm doing something. And this is coming at me steadily. So after about a month of going to them meetings, I get very irritable, very restless, and very discombobulated. And this thing really kicks in. I put the first one in, go through all of this, and when I come up for air, this is what I say. That AA is a bunch of bullshit. Now, how many of y'all go here, but you really don't do anything here? Now, let's get honest. Did you really do some shit here? Were you doing 10, 11, and 12?
Yeah.
That's what I thought. So you were going to a lot of. Yeah. And what got you? Were you doing 10, 11, and 12?
Not at the end. No.
So you were riding the coattail of the fellowship. And what got you?
Obsession.
Look, I've been doing this a long time. I've never saw one person come back in here because they were doing this and this. I've never seen that. Now, when you first got out, you hit the ground running.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Pedal to the metal. And the longer you stay sober, did the pedal get pushed further down or start getting eased up on it?
Eased up.
You? Yeah. When it should be the complete
Opposite.
opposite. See, look, 20 years. I've been sober. I have to keep putting the pedal to the metal. Because look, nobody's looking for me anymore. All my shit's paid. I got some money in the bank. I got a nice house. No, I wouldn't tell you where it's at. So sometimes, guess what I don't want to do? And every now and then, that little voice that tells me right from wrong, it'll go, hey, dumbass. You ain't no different than anybody with one day. See, what a lot of y'all do, the longer you stay sober, the less you're willing to do. When it should be the complete opposite. See how many of y'all been in here fixing to leave? Y'all getting lazy now. Well, I'm fixing to graduate in treatment. Yeah. Now, let's say somebody gives you the problem, which we've given you, and they give you the solution. Now, this right here, this is fact. You either got it or you don't. And I promise you, you didn't end up in here because you don't have that. Step 2, it is facts. This shit works. They got about 3 million of us facts walking the face of this earth who used to be like this. We did this and this and we not like that anymore. That is fact. Now, if you have 2 facts, can you operate on same 2 facts at the same exact time? No. So you're going to do one or the other. Now, before you came in the door, which facts were you operating on, 1 or 2?
Which facts? Oh.
Before you came in the Woodlake. No, listen to me. Before you came in the Woodlake, were you stuck in the problem or in the solution?
I get stuck in the solution at 6 and 7.
No. I want you to just don't get frazzled. Just listen to me. I promise you, this is what you were doing before you got here. Okay. What were you doing? What were you doing? What were you doing? Now, if these facts are what you've been operating on, did you like these facts? But I'm talking about the end results. Okay. So if you don't like the result that these facts have gotten you, you gotta start operating on a different set of facts. Otherwise, you're gonna keep getting this and worse. When you were operating on these facts, what kind of results did you get?
Horrible.
When you was operating on these facts, sort of, kind of, maybe.
Right.
Yeah. Now just think if you'd have did it fucking like 100 all in, it would have been astounding. Now, how many of y'all, you want to operate on the same facts and you expect different results? Look, that's not insanity. It's called eat up with the dumbass.
Oh.
Now, how many of y'all keep doing the same thing, but now you're gonna watch yourself a little better and you're gonna get some different results? That's what y'all say, really? Well, this time I'm gonna really be careful in my using. Now, I want y'all to turn y'all's big book to page 59. Hurry up. I want you to start reading for me in the middle of that page where it says the description of the alcoholic, blah, 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 blah. You need some glasses?
Not just going on. What page?
59. What'd I say?
60.
Shit, you got me wondering if you can read. Well, don't read then. Start reading. Read it loud. Description of the alcoholic, page 60.
Yes.
Go.
The first, the paragraph down,
In the middle, yep. Our description.
our description of the alcoholic. The chapter to the agnostic and our personal adventures before and after make clear 3 pertinent ideas. A, that we were alcoholic and could not manage our lives.
Look up here. A, that we were alcoholic and could not manage our own lives. That's step 1. Go.
B, that probably no human power could have relieved our alcoholism.
Look up here. B, that the fellowship alone won't do it. See, it says no human power. Go.
And that God could
C,
see that God could and would if he were sought.
look up here. C, God could and would if he were sought. So A, B, and C are basically steps 1 and 2. And it tells you that in the next 2 words. Go.
Being convinced
Comma.
we were at
Well, what do you have to be convinced of? A, B, and C. Now, if you're convinced of that, where you at?
we were at step 3.
Now, most of y'all never get to 3 because you ain't convinced of A, B, or C. Now, let's say I'm convinced of A, B, and C, which are basically steps 1 and 2. It says I'm at step 3. Now, if you read step 3 off the wall, you would think you have to become a nun. And I promise you, we pray that shit don't happen. Now, it says made a decision to turn our will and our lives over to the care of God as we, or as you could say right now, misunderstood him. Now, in step 3, I'm not turning a damn thing over. I'm just making a 2. Now, decision. Do they change anything? What do you
No.
think? What do you think?
No.
You?
Yep.
What about you?
Yes.
Okay. You? What about you? You? I mean, fuck, it's 50-50.
I get my mind went somewhere else. I ain't lying.
What do you think? Do decisions change anything? What do you think? What do you think? I want y'all to close your eyes. Close them. For once, close them. Close your eyes. I want everybody in here to decide to go to California. Open your eyes. Where are you at? Denham Springs. Now, did you decide to go to California? Did that change anything? See, decisions change absolutely nothing. Now, step 3 is just a decision. That's all it is. And what you're going to do in step 3 is decide to stay here, if that's what you are, or you're going to decide to seek some power. Now, let's say you decide you're not going to do this and this like we want you to do. What did you really decide to do? Say that again.
Remain
To
powerless.
stay here. See, most of y'all go, well, I'm just not going to decide. But if you decide not to do this, you really have decided to stay here. Now, let's say you decide, I don't want to do this. Then nothing has. So you stay exactly where you are. Now, can anybody make you do this? No, look, judges can't. Probation officers can't. Kids can't. Husbands, wives, mothers. Nobody can make you do it. And if you decide you're not going to do this, you're going to stay here, look, all you got to do is say, but when the results start hitting and they're not going to be too good, I just have to accept that. See, quit whining about it and just say, well, that's what I decided I want. Now, let's say you decide, look, I don't want no more of this action, never, ever, ever, never, fucking never. I want what they got. Well, then the way you're going to carry out step 3 and get out of the problem into the solution is by taking the action steps. And the action steps are lined out in the book with some precise, clear-cut direction, and that's the action step. Now, if you take somebody like me, who was over here for years, and I start taking this action, like that book says, who can tell me what happened?
Change.
That's what 4 through 9 does. It taps me into power. And once I'm tapped into that power, guess what that power does? It does some shit for me that I never could do for. And the first one that it does is remove that. That's the first thing. The second thing it starts to do is change me. Now, how many of y'all, when we start talking about this power, you're hung up on fixed old ideas about what this power is and what it isn't? I want you to think about this. I want you to think what you believe, not what somebody told you, not what you read, but what do you believe when it comes to God? Where do you believe God is? If somebody asked you, growing up, what do you believe, where do you believe God is? Hmm?
In me.
Okay. What about you? Up there. That would be like heaven, right? Look, that concept that she has, how many of us coming up, that was sort of drilled in our head? Look, I can remember coming up, and my parents, look, they meant well, taught me right from wrong, but I think they tried to use God as a babysitter. Like, hey, you better fucking do right, because he's watching everything you do. And I'm going, oh fuck. I was scared to death of God. Now, my conception of God, and I'm about 4, 5, 6, 8, 10. He was up on this cloud, and he had a hammer and a chisel, and this big concrete tablet in front of him. And every time I did something wrong, he chiseled that shit out. Now, I get about 12, my conception grew a little bit. And this was my conception at 12. He got to be fucking tired of chiseling. Now, at 12, guess what I start dumping into me? Massive amounts of drugs and alcohol. So guess what ceased to grow right there? My conception of God, my emotional growth, my mental growth. Now, physically, I keep growing. I'm 18, 20, 25. I'm facing adult problems now. And I still have the conception of God as some punk ass little kid. Small wonder it seemed like it didn't work. Now at 5 or 6, did that conception work somewhat? Yeah. See, how many of y'all still have the belief or conception of God that you had when you were 6 or 8? That's why when you come in here, I go, how old are you, like 9? Now, how many of y'all, like her, you have this belief or conception that God's up in heaven somewhere? How many of y'all? You? You? Who else? You? What about you? I want you and you. Who else said they did?
Oh, what we believe now?
No. When you came in here.
Oh, no. I misunderstood.
I want y'all 3 to come with me real quick. Come on. Come on. Hurry up. Hurry up. Come on. Hurry up.
He's gonna make him look in the sky.
Oh, yeah.
Thank God I've done this before.
I kind of wish I would.
Especially with me.
able to go.
You already know, in Ethel, yeah.
Yeah, like that.
Look, the nurses are fucking laughing.
And look, everyone's like, why are you taking?
What's he doing? So, make him look up in the sky.
Yeah. I see God in everything.
They're probably like, oh, he's doing it again.
Y'all sit down. We didn't find it. Now, how many of y'all in here look everywhere for God except where he's at? Now, your conception of God, has it grown much? And if you keep that same conception that you came in with, you're going to pretty much get
But you always
same
got
thing. Now, in step 3, I'm just making a decision to put it in the care of his hand. Now, how many of y'all still have a car? If your car broke down and you brought your car to a mechanic, are you giving that mechanic your car?
To own?
Yeah.
No,
Are you signing the title over to him?
absolutely not.
You're just putting it in the care of his hands, right? Now, that mechanic's gonna repair your car, right?
Hopefully.
Yeah. If you bring it to the right one, you know where you spend money. Now, they put it back in your hand and they say, hey, if you drive it right, keep it tuned up, keep the oil change, it'll work just like it is supposed to. Now, what we're asking you to do with the steps is put it in the care of God's hands. He's going to repair you and put it back in your hands. And he's going to say, if you drive it right, keep it tuned up, and keep the oil change, you are going to work just like you are supposed to. So are you giving God your life? No, he don't want it. That's why he gave the son of a bitch to you. If he wanted it, he would take it. What he wants is for you to conform your will with his will. Look, one way or the other, guess what you're going to do eventually? Conform your will with his. It's just a good idea to do it while you're alive. Yeah. But you're going to do it one way or, and sometimes it's a long, tedious process. Now, 1, 2, and 3. Put me in a position to do 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9, which put me in a position to do 10, 11, and 12. Now, this is what I tell people. This got me out of hell, and this is going to make sure I end up in heaven on that cloud. Now, how many of y'all in here? You have not lived in a long time. What you've been doing is existing, and that shit sucks. It sucks so bad, you have to put shit in you to change the way you feel. Now, when somebody gets a little taste of this, a real taste, what they want is more. But most of y'all gonna sit in here and just go through the motion and do just enough to get by, and you're never gonna get a little taste. So quite naturally, you couldn't want more. Now, this is the kindergarten. This is the kindergarten of how to do step 10. Now, hold on, I'm gonna let you ask it in a minute. I'm on a roll. Step 10. Step 10 is the repracticing of all the action steps. Today, I do step 10 every day, which is actually 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. They just all balled up into one. And they call it step 10 now. But step 10 is repracticing 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. Stay with me. What does 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 do? Say that again.
Action.
Now, every time I do 10, which is every day, all day, every time I do 10, guess what I tap into deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper. And nothing that life throws me can shake me. Nothing. Not loss of a mother, a brother, a sister, a nephew, a job, being diagnosed with cancer. Nothing can shake me. How many of y'all, the least little thing that happens, you fold like a house of cards. Fold. Now, how many of y'all in here that right there is something you think happens to other people? That's what I used to think. And then sort of, I don't know, sitting in treatment, I went, well, fuck you. Why can't it happen to me? I'm no different than them. See, they used to have people come in, do meetings with us in treatment. They still coming, right?
Yes.
Okay. And I would look at some of them and I would go, damn, man, I wish I could sort of believe like they believe. I wish I could sort of do like they do. And when I started doing what they sort of suggested, guess what started to change? The way I believed and what I believed. How many of y'all in here, y'all are stuck on old ideas and old beliefs, and you won't let go of them? Look, whatever conception of God that you had coming in, guess what about it? This is one thing I know about it. It ain't working. That's what I know about it. Is it wrong? No. It's just not working. So if you keep the same conception that you've had all your life, you're going to get the same thing. Now, when I was coming up, I was taught things about God, religion, and it wasn't wrong. I have two sisters. We were brought up in the same house with the same mama and the same daddy. And we got the same shit. Guess who all that worked for? Them. I got my one remaining sister, ain't never drank and drugged in her life. The other one, every now and then, maybe. Two of the most spiritual girls I've ever been around. So what I was taught was not wrong. It just didn't work for
You.
die. So I gotta open my mind up a little bit, so some new shit can start to come in.
Yeah.
How many of y'all, I want you to think about that, are so fixed on your old ideas and your old beliefs, and they're not working, but you won't let them go? What was your question? I tell you what, wait a minute. You were first.
You answered it.
Okay, go.
You answered
Oh,
it.
okay,
If we could do step 10 before we finish that.
okay.
Okay, so, you kind of answered.
So what did you get out of that? You can or you can't?
You can, so that you don't have to have that resentment that's gonna take you out, kind of, like you can do 10 before you finish.
I would tell you this. Whatever works for you at this point in time. Good.
I had a question.
This is gonna be even worse.
So God did all he was supposed to do, but I wasn't doing the footwork. So
What
Okay?
I'm saying is my perception of God is the same, but.
Hold on a
I'm
minute,
just-
don't do that. Don't do that. Go. Go.
All I was saying, I mean, I don't know, I was just saying it was my fault.
Well, look, nobody's disagreeing with you on that.
Oh, no, I was just,
But
I
let me,
don't know.
no, don't zone out.
Oh,
I want you to listen to what I'm gonna tell you. Nobody's saying it wasn't your fault. What I'm saying is, maybe, just maybe, if that relationship you had with God was a little bit better and powerful, maybe it wouldn't have been your fault so much. You probably didn't understand that, and I just
I
said.
did understand.
Okay, all right. Now, how many of y'all in here, those same beliefs and ideas, you want to hang on to? Now, they put a whole chapter in the big book, one whole chapter, and it's devoted to the power of, that's how important this is. Because what you believe is exactly what you're going to do. Now, how many of y'all in here, you have this idea or belief, you can sit through here and go through the motions and everything's gonna be okay? Now, they got some people that believe they can come in here and break all the rules and shit. And guess what I believe? I can catch you. So what you believe is exactly what you're going to do. Now, I want you just to ask yourself, how many of y'all believe this is not gonna work for you, or it's a bunch of bullshit? Look, I see you smile. Guess who else used to believe that? Especially how old you are. How old are you physically? If they would have told me I had to come to treatment at 18, you know what I'd have told them? Fucking kill me.
Right?
There's no way I would have went. I would have went and served a 10-year sentence before I'd have come in here. Now, looking back, I go, "Oh, how much I missed." Because in 20 years, I've had to compact about 40. And I'm real envious of little young people like you who get this opportunity. Because you have no idea what you're missing. Because you ain't having fun out there. Unless having problems all the time is fun to you. How many of y'all in here? Y'all starting to see what am I doing? What am I doing? Look, I got it. When I was all wrapped up in it, I went, look, I'm about the smartest motherfucker they got. And I come in here and I start seeing some things and I go, how did I ever think that was okay? All right, before we move on, comments, questions. Now, I want y'all to turn y'all's big book to page 84. We're actually going to talk a little bit on step 10. Now, the disease that I have what they call a little spiritual sickness. So if I suffer from a spiritual illness, only spiritual medicine will take care of it. Now, this is my medicine every day. If somebody told you, hey, you got cancer, we're going to send you to the best cancer doctor in the country. would you go?
Yeah.
And we're gonna take care of it. Would you go?
Mhm.
And if he says, hey, look, you got some bad shit. But if you do what I say, I guarantee you can live the rest of your life normal, healthy, and happy. What would you do?
I'd do it.
Without a doubt.
Right.
Now, if your family knew you had cancer, would they feel sorry for you?
Of course.
Yeah. Would they wrap their arms around you?
Of course.
And as long as you did what they said, everything would be.
All right.
Now, if you quit doing what the cancer doctor said, would your family go, what's wrong with you?
Of course.
Come on, girl.
Mhm.
Now, how many of y'all, this little illness, this little thing called alcoholism, which there is no cure for, and left untreated, you will die a slow, miserable, painful life. And how many of y'all's families, if you're doing what you're supposed to do, will wrap their arms around you? It may take a little while, but eventually they'll go, damn, boy, you know, she's really trying. And as long as you did what we said, would they be on your side?
Mhm.
But if you quit doing what we say, how many of them will go, what are you doing? Now, some of y'all are sitting in here and y'all are going, well, you know, I made a mess out of shit. I don't know if they're going to come back. Well, I'm telling you that I have probably made a bigger mess out of shit like that than anybody. Now, it took a while for mine to come back. Like about a year or so. Because they weren't like this right out of treatment. Oh, baby. They were like, let's wait and see. And slowly but surely, in that first year or so, I didn't say nothing. When they would chastise me, criticize me, I went, yeah, y'all right. Because what they were doing was waiting to see what I was going to do. And if I would have jumped on that shit, you know what they would have said?
Mhm.
He ain't changed. Look, same old shit. But when I didn't say nothing, and I went, yeah, y'all right. They went, what the fuck did you say? And slowly but surely, every time I was supposed to do something, I did it. And finally, they started to believe what I was saying. And today, when I tell them something, it's pretty much like fucking gospel. Because they know I'm going to do what I say. Now, how many of y'all are sort of getting sort of dejected because you're going, well, I want to do this, but what's the use? So you're still playing God that you know what everybody's going to do. I really need to pull you to the side after class and see if you can give me the lottery numbers that you know everything. See, what you're doing is hand strapping God. Because what you're really telling God is, hey man, you ain't got the power to correct my shit. That's what you're telling him. I want y'all to turn y'all's books to page 84, and we're going to get into a little bit of step 10. Now, I don't know how much we're going to get in because we're going to talk about some other stuff first. Now, I want you to look at step 11. Step 11 says we start through prayer and meditation to improve our conscious contact with God. Now, if I'm going to use prayer meditation, not medication, it says meditation, to improve my conscious contact. For me to improve something, that implies I already have it. Now, I don't make conscious contact with God in 11. I make it in, and I improve on that in with prayer and. Now, I can't improve something I've never made. So how do I make conscious contact with God every day, all day? 4 through 9, which is really step.
Yeah.
And every time I make it, I improve on it with prayer and meditation. Look, if you could make conscious contact with God in step 11, we would only need one fucking step, which would be 11. You don't make it in 11. You make it in 10. When people come up to me, been in the program for a little while, and they go, I think I'm struggling with step 11. I go, no, you ain't. No, you're not. You struggling with 10. That's what you're struggling with. All right. We're on the middle of page 84. It says this thought brings us to step 10, which suggests we continue to take everybody else's inventory. Is that what it says? Oh, it says personal inventory. Now, how do I learn the nuts and bolts of how to take personal inventory? That's the kindergarten on how to do. Now, if I do this the initial time, like the book says, am I going to get something out of that? And guess what I will want? More. But if I bullshit here, I'm not going to get anything. And the chances of you doing this are slim too. Because what you're going to say is, well, it didn't fucking work up here. All right, back in the book. As we continue to set right any new mistakes as we go along, we vigorously commence this way of living as we cleaned up the past. Look up here. I vigorously commence this way of living as I clean up the past. Now, your question a minute ago, I'm fixing to really put it to rest. Now, 8 and 9. I still today, after 20 years, have people on my amends list because they've never been put in front of me yet. But if they are, guess what I'm willing to do? Make them in. Now, it says I start doing 10 as I clean up the past. If I had to wait till my amends were done to do 10, I'd be fucking dead right now.
Yeah.
So you have to be real cognizant of what the book says. And you have to have somebody who can decipher it for you. So as I clean up the past, as I make these amends, I start doing 10. Now, how many of y'all know when you do a 4th and 5th step, when we give you the 4-step paper, you do your 5th step. It says after the 5th step, wait 1 hour. And in that hour, I do 6 and 7. That list is already made for you. It's called a harms list. You just transfer it to an amends list. And I can't do this until they're put in front of me. So the day after I do my fifth step, guess what I start doing? If that answers your question fully. I have people say, well, my sponsor says, I said, whoa, fuck, wait a minute. Wait a minute. What does the big book say? Not what your sponsor says. What does the big book say? And sponsors who come up with all this bullshit that ain't in the book, what it is bullshit. It's some human trying to reinvent the damn wheel. The guys that I sponsor, I got 3, and they got some long-term sobriety under their belt. And it ain't because of me, it's because they followed. That's right. And they never say, well, my sponsor says, because if they do, I'll go, hey, wait a minute, fucker. Don't say that shit. Because I tell them what comes out of the book. And anything that comes out of my mouth that ain't in the book, this is what I tell them. Let it go in this ear and out that ear. Now, how many of y'all have had sponsors and they go, oh, call me every day. Call me every day. Well, I've yet to find that in the first 103 pages of the book. See, if you got somebody that you call every day, and y'all sit down and drink some coffee and smoke some cigarettes and shit, what you have is somebody to talk on the phone with, smoke cigarettes with, and drink coffee with. Now, why y'all on the phone and drinking coffee and smoking cigarettes? If y'all in the book, then you probably got a pretty good sponsor. But how many of y'all have ever been to meetings? I can remember going to some meetings early on, and I knew what was right. I knew what was in the book. And I would hear shit like, meeting makers make it. And I would go, my name's Kevin, I'm an alcoholic. No, the fuck they don't. And they used to get mad as hell at me. And I would hear people say, keep coming back until the miracle happens. And I would go, well, my name's Kevin, I'm an alcoholic. It don't say that in the book. And they would get mad at me. Now, how many of y'all have been around some watered down shit about the book in steps? It's amazing you'll listen to some idiots who know nothing about this, but the ones who actually know something about it, you won't listen to them. How long you been around AA?
Me?
Yeah.
Well, it's been around me, but I haven't participated in it.
I didn't ask you. I just said how long you been around it.
Since last Thursday.
So you've never heard of AA, never been to a meeting until last Thursday?
I've never been to a meeting,
Okay.
no.
How long you been around it?
I went to my first meeting when I was 15.
You?
About 4 years ago.
You? Yeah. You? 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 Yeah. And how many of y'all keep hanging around people who don't make you do nothing? And when you fall on your face, you go, well, I was supposed to shit. Well, you right in the same crowd. All right, back in the book. Says we vigorously commenced this way of living as we cleaned up the past. I've entered the world of the spirit. I've started to have this little awakening they're talking about. My next function is to grow in understanding and effectiveness. This is not an overnight matter. It should continue for 28 days.
No.
That's not what y'all's book said? What's it say? Oh, is that what your book says?
Yeah.
Well, the backyards. Now, these are the nuts and bolts, the directions for the 10th step. It says continue to watch for selfishness, dishonesty, resentment, and fear. Now, look up here. What step did I do that originally in? So when I'm doing 10, I'm reworking 4. It says, when these crop up, we ask God at once to remove them. There's 2 steps that they talk about removing shit, 6 and 7. So when I do 10 every day, now I'm repracticing 4, 6, and 7. It says, I discuss them with someone immediately. What step is that? 5. So now I'm doing 4 again, 5 again, 6 again, and
7.
And it says I make amends quickly if I have harmed anyone. 8 and
9.
so what did I just do? 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We just call it 10. Now, Stevie Wonder could decipher that shit. Because once you start thinking about it, it's actually simple. And it's so simple, you go, well, it can't be that simple, but it is. It's so simple that most of y'all try to complicate the hell out of it. Now, if you notice, they went from 4 to 6 and 7 back to 5 and then 8 and 9. There's a reason. See, when I start doing this, and I'm really 10 stepping, I should be able to start spotting shit out on my own. So they say, do this, see what defects have come up on your, then discuss it. Look, those guys I was telling you about, our sponsor, when I first started sponsoring them, they would call me and they would be going, I go, whoa, take a breath. And I'd get them to shut the hell up and I would go, did you 10-step that? No. I said, well, look, when you do, call me back. Clink. So see, I can't help them unless they see it. Now, when they did start looking for it and seeing it, what we talk about when they call me is what you need to do now. Now, they very rarely call me anymore. Or if they do, they'll call me and go, man, you're going to laugh at this. I go, well, I need a good laugh. See, look, if you got to keep calling your sponsor over and over and over and over and over, years from now, you miss some shit. And what you missed is all of it. That's what you missed. Because look, I'm telling you, going into the 6, 8, 9, 10, 12-month mark, you ought to be able to spot some shit out and talk to your sponsor about, hey, do you think I need to make this amends? I mean, I really didn't harm them like physically, well, maybe emotionally I did. And when you talk about that kind of shit, because it says you make amends quickly if you've harmed anybody. Look, I know a lot of people, they can do this and see it, but their pride and ego still won't let them make amends. Comments? Good.
Like, I get to 6 and 7, and I get stuck because that's like my survival. So I'm taking it back. I guess I'm taking
Say
it
that
back.
last part?
I'm taking it back.
No.
I think
Yeah. But look, 6 and 7, they're the two least talked about steps in the book. But they are two of the most, because that's really where the change comes. In 6 and 7 sort of separate the men from the boys in this program, or the girls from the women. And one of the reasons you probably get stuck there is because you don't want to do the work. Look, and the work's not just going to meetings and making coffee and doing shit like that, holding service positions. That's not really the work we're talking about. The work in the steps is, say, not doing this and doing the opposite. Let me ask you this. We're gonna close with this. I know y'all about to pee on y'allself and y'all need to smoke some cigarettes. Now, if you prayed for a McDonald's hamburger,
Yeah.
would God drop one in your lap?
No.
Now, would he make it possible for you to go get one?
Yeah.
See, look, y'all think God's responsible. And he's not, you are. He makes things possible. But you are responsible. So you could pray all day long. If you don't get up off your ass and do something, ain't nothing gonna happen. Just like praying for a McDonald's hamburger. If you sat in your room and waited, you would starve too. Now, would he make it possible for you to take some action and get up and go get a damn hamburger? So, who's responsible? Who makes it possible?
God.
And God's going. All right, y'all get ready for